Welcome to this video. In this video, we will look at the effects when supply and demand curve shifts. We call this a complex case. Let's bring in a market. Remember, a market is an institution that brings buyers and sellers together. What will happen to price equilibrium and quantity equilibrium when both the supply and demand curve shifts? Remember, the demand curve represents buyers, while the upward sloping supply curve represents sellers. Let's assume this is a toy market. Let's assume in this toy market, price equilibrium is $10 while quantity equilibrium is 100. Now assume the price of video games, which is a substitute for toys, increases while the resource cost for toy production drops. What will happen to supply and demand? We have two identical graphs here, and we will change them due to different degrees of change and compare them at the end. Price of video game increases. Remember, it is a substitute good for toys. So what will happen to supply or demand for toy figures? If you said demand increases, you're correct. As video game price increases, we will buy less video games and more toys. And let's see this. From D to D2. How about resources? If resource cost for toys drops, what will happen to supply and demand? Supply would increase. Let's have a moderate shift first on your left-hand graph from S to S2. Let's take a look at the results. Our new equilibrium will show that price is constant at $10 while quantity equilibrium increases. Now let's take a look at what happens if we shift our supply curve further out. If supply shift is greater than the demand shift, we can see that price equilibrium drops while quantity equilibrium remains an increase. Here we have a list of results with the four complex cases. In our story, supply increases while demand increases, so our price equilibrium is undetermined. It could increase, decrease, or stay the same, while quantity equilibrium will always increase. Here we have a list of the four cases.